You can't take that case.
Why not?
Well, it wouldn't be fair. You don't have the experience.
I've solved over 200 mysteries.
How many of them have been murders? You're taking advantage of this young girl's naivete.
She's not even paying me.
Then what are you doing it for? Isn't this your job, or are you still working for quarters?
It's like you've forgotten who I am.
Who are you?
Abe Applebaum. I solved the case of the missing time capsule when I was 12 years old. The mayor gave me the key to the fucking city.
Hey, listening people.
Hey.
How you doing, Bartek?
Yeah, good. How you? Ryan.
What was... No enunciation for Bartek this episode. How you doing? He's just speaking his Canadian truth, everyone.
You started so casual. I'm like, oh, I got to go like casual as well. And I just went to 12 out of 10.
You got so casual that you no longer were corporeal. You just transcended into an ethereal being.
Shit, I didn't realize this was my last episode, and I only had like 5 seconds.
His last words, we don't know what they were.
I mumbled something, and then I clearly said Ryan, but
his last
clearly
word
in
was
quotes.
Ryan. And yes, we could hear the quotes. We could hear the fingers doing the quote noise. But we are Ryan and Bartek of Spit and Polish Presents, and we're here today to do our podcast series Pictures Powwow, which this has an IMDb, right? The Pictures Powwow has an IMDb page. Spit and Polish
I think
does?
Spit and Polish does.
We need to double check if they updated that with the new Czech films that we have done.
I checked the first
you
couple.
Checked?
I checked Slovakia the first couple of weeks after we did that episode. I don't think they added it, but I haven't checked this year really.
Lazy people. Update our IMDb that we did not authorize or put an agreement to or make. How dare you?
We're cool with
Update it.
We're cool with it, but we haven't officially authorized it.
I'm more annoyed that it's not just the Czech films. They also threw in the Pink Panther movie.
Yeah.
In there, which
It's spiritually a Czech
it's
film.
spiritually in there. Oh, they have a thumb. Like they have an artwork there now in the in the
by
thing. So
by Ink Boy?
by Ink Boy. Everyone check out Ink Boy. Did great work. They added Nothing But Trouble to the list. That's wonderful.
That's a Czech film.
And Willy Wonka. So that's nice.
That's a German film.
That is a German movie. Oh, they added 3 Wishes for Cinderella. So
Excellent.
that's there.
Did they do a references section for all the random things that we name dropped in that episode?
And The Innocence is there too, so there we go.
Okay.
But Bartek, while I do the research here, how about you? I do not like... I'm sorry, I'm now looking at this. I do not like that they have found a picture of me to put as the profile picture for my face, but none of you. You're an enigma. But it is actually for my pre-existing IMDb page, because I have been in things, but that did not have a picture.
What's the picture?
Oh, it's just one of my old profile pictures from Facebook. It's actually the one I use on my Letterboxd.
Okay.
It's one where it's like, I got a haircut.
I've seen your Letterboxd, so another one.
But you don't have one, Bartek. But while I do the research...
Go to the Dirty Harry Minute page. They have a
while
picture
I
of
do
me.
the research, how about you inform everyone what we do here and what film we're going to be talking about today?
Sure. So, this is Pictures Powwow, the podcast where every week we cover one film and review it. And we have a cycle of episodes. Every 3 episodes, each one has a different thing to it, and it's very simple. In the first one, it is a recommendation from myself, Bartek. In the next one, which is what this episode is, it is a recommendation from Ryan, the other voice. And then in the third week, it is a recommendation from the listening people, basically anyone except us. So that means that we can get a good variety of films out there. And so, like I said before, this is an episode where Ryan has recommended a film. And the film that Ryan has recommended is from 2020. It is called The Kid Detective.
The Kid Detective. A movie with a very simple premise on the surface, but it's more complicated because it is a film noir type movie. It's a detective story, and like with any mystery, there's all of these twists and turns and surprises. But it's also about the execution of the movie, the tonal execution. This is a dark comedy film about a detective who is a grown man who used to be a marvelous, wonderful, genius child who solved mysteries and was heralded by the town he lived in. But then a real homicide and or kidnapping case hit upon him, and he couldn't solve it. And now we see what's happened to that young boy and how he's grown into be a somewhat cynical man who's looking at the past whilst also unable to move into the future. It's very interesting in just how it plays around with, like the Hardy Boys type detective little mysteries. But what happens if they grew up and they are still solving mysteries rather than cases? And how jaded would that make you? Especially if you think you're the smartest guy in the room. That is it in a nutshell, but I recommend everyone go and see this for yourself. This is a marvelous film. I was aware of it, of course, I recommended, but I never got to check it out. I heard good word of mouth about this. I mean, 2020 was the time in which you were just looking for anything to keep your attention because it was the pandemic times, and what had come out was all over the place, like how it came out, how it was released, when it was released. All of this was like kind of hard to keep in your mind, and being locked inside, you're like, do I watch new things? Do I watch old things? Like you just had so much choice in a circumstances in which you had little choice. And The Kid Detective was one that I came across just from several reviews and recommendations and just some of the actors involved. I'm just like, oh, I like that person. I like this. So perhaps I should go check that out one day. And now here we are on the podcast, and we're trying to, the best we can for this year, to go over films that have come out since we've been doing it. And this was one of the first ones I wrote down. I'm like, oh, we've got to do The Kid Detective. But then I was like, man, 2020, I want to look at another round because Mads Mikkelsen and Vinterberg and Bartek had recommended in the past their film The Hunt. And I was like, oh, I'll surprise Bartek by giving him that duo again. And then you rug pulled me early on in the year by doing that as a recommendation. And you didn't even know the history of the production of like who the people were in that way.
Yeah, just completely blind. And if I apologized for stealing that, I take it back.
That's fine, because I'm rubbing my hands going, okay, The Kid Detective gets to step up, and here we are to talk about it. But Bartek, tell us a bit about your history and or relationship with this movie. Had you heard of this before?
I think I was completely blind on it. I do not think I've heard of this film. So when you recommended it last week, you mentioned like, oh, we're doing The Kid Detective from 2020. And it was another case of, I had to do all the social media stuff for that episode, the trial of the Chicago 7. And I had to write in the description what the next movie is. And I couldn't remember what it was. I had to go back and listen to the end of the episode to find out what it was. That's how blind I was. But the title intrigued me because, it brings to mind those things that you were mentioning before, like, Hardy Boys, like Doogie Howser, maybe a bit of Detective Conan. It's like, okay, yeah, that is a, recurring type of premise of like, what about detectives, but they're kids? Like, what can you do with that? And so I walked in thinking like, okay, is it going to be something like that? And when the film starts off and it's like, oh, we're seeing this like kind of depressed guy in like the, contemporary time. It's like, okay, I guess I was wrong about that. But as soon as it flashed back to like when I was a kid, I was this detective, and that whole sequence, I'm like, oh, is this what we're doing? We're doing like, I used to be this thing, but then it's a modern film noir thing. Like, I'm in.
Yeah. There's a lot of things to compare to, but it's just more as us Australians like to say, the vibe of the thing, where you can compare like the Kid Detective, like the actual physical Kid Detective stuff, to so many things. And one of the elements that I walked away from this movie, and I mean this in the most highest compliment way ever, is this is the most polished, efficient, masterful, unappreciated masterpiece type movie, because we used to cover films that we called unappreciated masterpieces, and a lot of that would be like children's fare, but it's more just like they would have these really unique, fun ideas, but maybe didn't get about them in the best way possible, or maybe they're more cult favorites or ones that certain people like. And this to me is exactly like that. One of the films that came to my mind when you were listing stuff too was Agent Cody Banks, another one where you have like the kid star of the time, Frankie Muniz, playing like his James Bond parody type.
Yeah, we did a couple of kid spy stuff, like Catch That Kid.
Yeah, Catch That Kid and things like that. And this fits into that. But what happens if we took that type of character type and we got to see them progress with age, but they're still stuck as that child, even though they're also the cynical adult. And what I mean by like the masterful style of that, like unappreciated masterpiece quality is just the filmmaking, the acting, the tone, especially. It is one in which, without a doubt, the biggest strength that this has is it lives up to its potential. This does not waste its potential in any way.
I am so glad you brought up the comparison to unappreciated masterpieces, because I didn't necessarily think that throughout the whole film, but there was one gag in this film. We'll get into it eventually, but this one gag that just got me, I had to pause the film and just laugh into the floor or something like that. It was such an unappreciated masterpieces level gag of like, how did you even conceive this? This feels like something that we would be doing like an audio commentary for in our podcast, and then when it comes up, it's like it's the best part of the film.
Yeah, because there's obviously a lot of homage and attention to detail and throwbacks and pastiche to film noir and detective stuff, but I also genuinely do think that this comes from a place of love and appreciation for those type of movies that we used to cover on this podcast, those family fare films that you would see in the 80s to the mid 2000s. There's just a certain, not just imagination, but energy that those films would have that, you know, maybe you don't think of as highly as, say, adult entertainment does, but there's just something about those, like, something we never covered, but like Jumanji, for instance, is one where it's like, oh, that what a crazy premise that is, but then it grounds it with really adult, mature things that are somehow still translatable to kids. And that was something about this movie too, is this could have been a broad Adam Sandler type comedy idea. You know, Adam Sandler plays the son of the devil. You could have this movie be that of like, oh, you know, name one of those. Vince Vaughn plays a guy who used to be a brilliant detective, but this grounds it with such a real, pessimistic, but also somewhat bittersweet, warm, mature quality to it that this transcends just being a comedy film.
Yeah,
it goes in all of the places.
Not just like a parody or a spoof film. Like I was thinking of those words. I'm like, I guess it's kind of a parody, but it doesn't feel like, you know, what you think of when you think of like a parody film.
Yeah, it goes the extra mile, and like I said, it does not waste its potential, and it follows, like the character is trying to, it follows the leads of what this premise would bring, where the premise is nowadays he is a grown man and he is hired by a former client who is a teenage girl currently. And when he first met her, she was a preteen girl who he solved a rinky-dink case for. And she's like, you can help solve my boyfriend's murder.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's
his first murder case.
Yeah, his first murder case. And that's like funny, but then there's obviously real dark implications that would come from that. And the film is unafraid to go there, but also be a character study film of like, you are having to solve a homicide. Like every moment that this film can do it, they will take the moment to be like, this is a murder that you're trying to solve. Have you ever done that before? And just let the character sit in the awkward silence because he can't smart mouth his way out of that for the most part. Sometimes he'll try and he'll do it against like children, which makes him extra pathetic. But when an actual adult says it to him, he has nothing to say. I loved it. I thought this was a marvelous film. This is probably one of my favorites we've done this year on the podcast. I just had such a big smile on my face. I was just so enamored, and I really liked the filmmaking of, in the past, you have the vibrant colors, the energetic music, every actor is playing it on a certain campy level, but not too much. Enough where you could imagine you could watch this film, like the film of him as the kid.
Oh, yeah.
But then when we cut to the modern day and everything's desaturated and bleak, and you have Adam Brody just embodying this character, and the filmmaking is much more subdued, and it's more about like the harsh editing style to really land a joke. Like you have these long setups to something, and then the payoff is just like super abrupt, and then we move on, but in a way that's coherent. And that was one of the things I really walked away with. Just I loved the dual filmmaking style that they leaned into one side of the premise with the bright, colorful, poppy stuff, and then the other side with the bleak, desaturated kind of grime.
Even just seeing his kid self like wearing that suit, like you can tell, like, oh, you know, he's building up his importance. He's like wearing formal attire, even though he's a kid. Even when he gets found out in like the closet, it's like, oh, this is adorable. Have a look at this. He's hiding in the closet.
He gets the key to the city, things like that.
He gets the key to the fucking city.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
says, because he solved the mystery of the missing time capsule or something. That was a really good one.
There's an amazing amount of just every time he's grittily and like Adam Brody's like really leaning into like the drama of the line, but then it will be mystery is said.
Yeah, mystery instead of like case or incident.
That's another thing. Like mystery obviously makes me think of Scooby-Doo, and we did the live action Scooby-Doos, and this has some of that energy in there as well. Where think about that. That was for its time a really weird take on here's this kids movie, this kids show. Now we're doing a live action version that's clearly aimed for adults, but it's still for kids.
Oh yeah, I loved it as a kid, and I never noticed how adult it was.
And that's kind of like what this is playing around in, but obviously much more. This is actually directed towards adults, but like there's this. We've talked about it so many times over the years in family movies, especially during that time frame I mentioned before. There was such a reckless, abandoned, carefree approach to like what we can do in movies, because who will care, really? Like Flipper will just be like, yeah, now the bad guy genuinely is going to try and shoot the child or something.
Yeah.
And it'd just be like, what crazy?
It's even like language changes too. Like I remember some of the first films we did. Big Fat Liar and Kangaroo Jack.
Yeah,
like,
Kangaroo Jack.
Those are kids' films, but they both have the word retard in them.
Yeah. Kangaroo Jack was originally supposed to be for adults and then edited to be for children. Same with Old Dogs and Snow Dogs is another one where it's like
Old Dogs was meant to be for kids?
Oh, the Old Dogs was supposed to be R-rated, but then it got edited to be for children.
Yes, okay.
And so many of those, like Wild Hogs, another one that was for families, but like, was it?
Was it?
It was. Like, I watched it as a kid.
There was marketing for it,
but it's also like clearly for adults, but then you watch that movie and you're like, but it's
middle-aged
not.
film,
But it's not. It's too silly. But either way, to the kid detective, tell me a bit more about your experience since you were blind on the movie.
Yeah, like I said, and we both kind of said it, that beginning, the flashback segment that has like the complete different style, the saturation, the outfits, like the tone of the characters and their acting, you know, just the smiles they have at, like, you know, how much they like this kid. And the fact that in the modern day, like, a lot of those actors who play like the adults there are still around. Mm-hmm. And so you get the big contrast of, like, you know, the man at the ice cream shop who's like, you know, oh, you kid, you get free ice cream for life. But then in the modern day, when his reputation's slow, it's like, oh, you're still cashing in that free ice cream for life, right?
But it's all just through looks.
Yeah, he doesn't say a thing.
And the best part is, our lead, Abe, he's ashamed, but he does it anyway. He's ashamed. He's so self-loathing of getting this ice cream, but he'll do it anyway.
Yeah, it's free ice cream.
It's one of the perks of the job that he has left.
Yeah, I like also that, you know, in this modern day, like I was listening to a couple of reviews about the film. A lot of people saying like, oh, he's so bad at this job in the modern day. I actually like that he's kind of got it both ways. Mm-hmm. Like, he genuinely does have a good instinct for following trails and things like that. It's just that the circumstances of the trails that he's followed led him down the wrong path. Like, he uncovers basically a whole, like, drug operation, but that's not what he's investigating.
Or underage sex worker.
Yeah. He's, like,
this.
genuinely discovered, like, some real important stuff, but it has nothing to do with the case at hand.
And he's more comfortable with those things because they're lower stakes for him. But the high stakes and importance of a homicide or a kidnapping, all of those things, because of the past circumstances, he is stuck as a child and he can't comprehend these really adult ideas. And you see that keep coming up again and again in his everyday life. Like, we don't. Like, he lives in a share house and his younger housemate is ashamed of him. Like, there's just so many moments where it's just like, he is a man-child, but the performance from Adam Brody and the writing is so subdued and bitter that you almost don't even really take in that he is the man-child archetype,
Yeah,
but he is.
So much of it he kind of feels like, this is a silly film, but like Harry Hole in The Snowman, where it's like, kind of gritty detective who's
Alcoholic.
like alcoholic. Yeah, he's this kind of character, but then you've got the whole man-child thing on top of that.
Yeah, hence the title The Kid Detective is such a loaded title. And again, everyone watch this film because I'm going to say what the end is.
Yeah, it's a mystery film, guys, so make sure you watch it if you really want to know and see it executed.
But they know the Kid Detective title is so important because the end of the movie is he finally breaks. He finally lets go emotionally speaking, and we have the hard comedy cut of the title over his face as the music plays, and we just stay on him crying. Because it's like he's the kid detective. Like that phrase has so many different meanings in the movie, both funny and dramatic. And the ending with that title card captures both of those things simultaneously. Where I was watching this with my wife and she was just like, "What?" Like she just laughed. I'm like, "Whoa!" And I actually found it kind of profound.
Oh yeah, I didn't find it funny.
But there is somewhat a level of humor to it.
I can see the theory of the funny and how people can find that funny. But I found it like you, kind of more like meaningful.
But I think that's the beauty of the film. It does have it both ways and it works. There's so many moments where there's something that's profound and on point for the genre, but also just funny. Like just little touches like that. And I was really bowled over. So we've talked about him a bit, but Adam Brody is our lead. Now, at the end of our last discussion on the podcast, I tried to be like, "Oh, Adam Brody, what would we know? Oh, he's a TV actor. He did The OC." And I kind of lapsed in the fact that we've had him on the podcast a couple of times, most notably Jennifer's Body. He's the rock star that is the inciting incident of all of the events that goes on in that movie. And he's a real piece of shit in that movie, like wonderfully evil. And then he was in Cop Out, the Kevin Smith movie, where he was one of the asshole detectives that's always bullying Bruce Willis and Tracy Morgan. And he's like, "I'm a young cop and I've got my future ahead of me. Fuck you." And he's like waving his badge in front of their face all of the time. And like his buddy is like an old bald dude, like the basically equivalent of Bruce Willis. Like so funny. He's so funny. But Adam Brody, and you were talking to me a bit before we started this. Red Letter Media did a video on this film. And they talk about it too, but it is so true. Of Adam Brody is one of those guys where he has the presence and the look of a leading man, but he's always just kind of settled into being bit parts. A guy who'll come in for maybe a scene or two or be a supporting player. Something I've noticed in his filmography that, even mentioning Jennifer's Body, for instance, is he plays a lot of, this guy seems like the nice guy, or this guy seems like a good guy, or this guy seems like a trustworthy, but then he's evil, or he's in on the evil, he's complicit. Like Ready or Not is an example of that. Promising Young Woman plays into a bit of that. Like he's in one of the Scream movies. Like he's really good at having this kind of youthful look to him, like kind of baby-faced look to him, but then he can just furrow those brows and just make it sinister, or just like, "You're a worm." And he isn't sinister or evil in this, but you do get like, he's such a pathetic kind of worm of a guy in this movie, but he's got the leading man looks to him where he carries this performance off so effortlessly, where I could list to you a bunch of film noir detective types that this reminds me of. But at the end of the day, Adam Brody is just, he's the thing that makes the movie work. If you don't have this performance, there's so much less, like, it's the linchpin of the movie. Like, not to say that the writing and directing aren't great, the editing's marvelous, the music's great, but he is the thing that holds it all together. If you don't have this type of performance, some of these jokes aren't going to hit the same.
No, he nails it. He's got that wisecracking, like, noir detective kind of, attitude to him, while still also maintaining this, this reputation of someone who's like a has-been that's like failed and is not grown up.
And even in comparison to the 2 films we've covered with him in the past, those are high energy performances. You know, the crazy rock star demon worshipper in Jennifer's Body, and then you have like the prick detective in The Precinct who's on our main character's cases. Then you have him in this, low energy. Very low energy, very dialed down, but every line delivery, every mannerism he takes is so precise and just stabs at the right angle and just either gets you laughing or gets you tense or gets you sad. He's so pitch perfect in this. Like, I have a hard time picking a favorite moment because there's just so many things he does that I'm just not only just amazed by, but it made me have a moment where I go, have I seen in a movie a leading man who does deadpan as beautifully as this in a while? Like, is there a new actor or an actor of this age range that does deadpan so effortlessly like that I've seen? And I actually have a hard time thinking of,
now that you
of a
mention it,
younger
it's
actor that just did it so well like this.
tough. There's a moment early on in this where he just says to a kid who's like, dissed him, like, well, your dad's gay. And it's just so straightly delivered that, like, I could see that line being like, like a big punchline of like a, obnoxious delivery.
Yeah, Jonah Hill in Superbad.
Yeah, that kind of delivery. But he just does it so straight, and he's maintaining his composure while saying it. And...
But it's such a he has nothing to say, so he just like childishly says this. That was my big laugh of the movie, by the way. That was my biggest laugh of the movie. There's plenty, but that one just got me because I'm not above it. I mean, we grew up when we grew up, and saying people were gay as an insult was part and parcel. That was just one of the givens. Same with saying retard or Jew or any of these things. Not saying it was right, but it was just a part of when we were in primary school. And just him doing that, I was just like, God, I'm back there again. Yeah, but now it's an adult man saying it, and also saying it like defeatedly.
But also in context, like, he is actually right.
No, he is right, but also just like such a ham-fisted like retort to give to this kid.
Like, out of context, you would see that and it's like, oh, he's just saying the dumb line that we would say as kids, but no, he is actually correct.
And he says it again with this level of shame. Like, he's both like, fuck you, but also just like, that was the only thing I could give to him.
Yeah, well, your dad's gay.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say in your mind about Adam Brody's performance? Because he is the thing that we are drawn to.
I mean, it's not just that, like, he himself delivers the lines well. Like, his acting really complements the filmmaking. Like, you mentioned before that there are these really long, like, build-ups to punchlines, and oftentimes those punchlines are things he says. Like, the big one that I would think of is when he goes to that biker bar and he's gonna finally confront the leader of this gang that you've been hearing about in every other scene. And he gets in there, like, all the bikers look at him, he gets patted down, he gets the peanut butter taken away from him because, like, the guy's allergic to peanuts.
They went to school together.
He slowly walks through the hall. There's more signs saying, like, no peanuts, and it's like, oh, this guy's like really like taken over this area. It's like all about him. He gets in there, he looks around, he sees the guy. It's like, hey, guy's name. The guy looks at him. He asks the question that he needs to ask. And then the guy just says, no. And defeated, the music, like, goes away. He just walks away.
And you see him walk through the hallways again and walk out the bar, then walk outside and be like, he wasn't there.
He wasn't there. And you never see that gang again.
No, we hear about them, but we never go back to them.
It's just...
Same with the kid who got told his dad was gay. We never see him again.
Yeah, no, they're like, okay, we need to talk to someone else, and we see that kid again.
Yeah, we see that kid who was great.
Yeah.
I looked up Calvin, the actor who plays Calvin, the fat kid who's like in love with the girl. I thought, oh, this guy, he's not really been in anything, but I was so shocked because I'm like, he had such like mid-2000s kid actor who would be like, I was the nebbish weird friend to Jonathan Taylor Thomas and something, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he just had such energy of like, wow.
They picked really good actors to play like the students, the teenagers in this film, because they all have that look of like, oh man, I could see you in a film that's targeted for like your age demographic.
Oh yeah, 100%. And like you have Adam Brody there, he's beaten up as well. So that's another thing of like his face is bruised, he's got a cut on his eyebrow. And it just gives him such a hangdog expression throughout all of the movie. Like even when he smiles and has happy things, there's always like the physical marks on him of just saying this guy is fucked. He just is so downbeat. And I just love all the little details to his life that we are shown. Like in the flashbacks, here he is, he's got this office that was given to him by the mayor, and the mayor's daughter's working for him. She's getting soda pops, and he has all the pictures on the wall. And then we cut to the modern day, and now we see all of those things are poisoned and like bad now. Like the daughter's got kidnapped, and now he has like a mean goth woman working for him who hates him and is ashamed of him. He's got all these pictures on the wall that are all sun faded, and they all just kind of paint this picture of a pathetic man looking at the past. You have like the mayor killed himself, and it's like that's all people know him for now. And
Yeah,
like,
when someone mentions like, "Oh, that mayor killed himself," like actually he, was
Gave
also this thing.
he gave us the potato harvest.
Although the girl that said that he killed himself said that he hung himself.
Yeah,
so.
hanged himself is actually the
I'm
correct
surprised Mike Stoklasser liked this film.
thing. Yeah, he would have got, well, they were a dumb character, but they weren't Jean-Luc Picard saying it. It's a different thing when Jean-Luc Picard says it. But, Adam Brody also just, he has this amazing capacity for letting rage out, because there's few moments in this movie where his character is like, that's it, I'm angry, especially with his parents. There's this whole fucking, again, long sequence of we're being tailed, someone's following us, and then it's his parents.
Yeah, it's a very like, genre tropey thing of like, oh, the car's following us, speed up, slow down, pull over here, I'll go confront them.
It's just my parents. He's so angry at them.
And it's just such a, like little family moment in what was up to this point like a, thriller moment.
Yeah. And
he has to come up with an excuse to seem less pathetic to the girl.
And then, yes, the girl who hires him, Caroline, that actress, she's been in a bunch of things too. She was most notably in The Book Thief, which was a film adaptation of that story. And she's great in this too. Like, she just has one of those faces that just everything about her face just says volumes. Like, there's so many moments of this movie where we just cut to a reaction shot of her, and it's like you don't need her to say anything. You can just let her be the embodiment of innocence and naivete.
Mm-hmm. And they nailed it. They nailed it to the point that when the film comes around and says, "Hey, there's more to this character than just the pinnacle of innocence." The film, it really feels like, oh shit, I have just been thinking of her as that archetype.
He thought of her in a way that he's refusing to admit that's him. We have this moment where he's asked, like, oh, how's she holding up? And he's like, oh, she's doing okay. I don't think it's hit her yet. And that's him. That's him. Like, that's his story. Like, the things that have happened haven't hit him yet. So when we get to the end and it finally, the kidnapping and the homicide and his life finally hits him, and he lets it go and cries. Like, but he's projecting that onto this client. And he's like just kind of putting her in a corner, and then she has these moments where it's like, oh, people think, I haven't seen like an R-rated movie, or I haven't seen this. It's like they think I'm still a child, but like I'm a person, and it's like,
And when you eventually find out who the antagonist is, that is actually a huge part of their motivation.
Yes, a lot of the central idea when you first walk in of this man who wants to be taken seriously, but also has the image of being a kid detective. It's all about perception. It's all about judging a book by its cover. And that's what you have with these three. You have him has that to this really complicated, weird degree. You have the client who has that to, a lesser complicated degree, but still a humanizing degree. And then the villain of the movie, his whole thing is like, everyone sees me as this one thing, and it really upsets me. And now it's turned into this bitter, vile, demonically cruel edged idea. And it's just so effective of just obviously this is a mystery movie, this is a detective story. We'll talk about how we feel about the case and how it turns out, but like on a thematic level, these things all tie together, and it also helps all of the tonal stuff tie together as well, because the movie does take sharp turns. It's not just smooth, gradual, oh, now we're getting into more. No, it will be like sharp, sudden, abrupt turns. Like, this is a genuinely tense scene now. Now we're in a genuinely funny scene. But I think it does not feel abrupt. It always feels coherent and cohesive because thematically and character-wise and tonally, these things are always tracking with one another because of just little things of like the three central characters that we are looking at by the end of the movie have this idea of being trapped by perception of themselves or from others.
Yeah, and even when you have, I can't remember what the first time we see the principal character, but the earliest that I remember is like when he visits him to ask about something.
Yeah, we just see him in the flashbacks.
Yeah, in the office, and they have this like back and forth where they are kind of like of the same mind about some things. Like, oh, I also have a receptionist that can't really stand me. He has a line about like, oh, kids just don't respect authority. And that's a kind of pervading thing throughout the film where it's like, oh, remember the good old days? Like the film's not super heavy handed about like, oh, the past was better. But you have all these like little lines like where they're at the diner and he says something like, oh man, back in my day, this was the center of the universe on a Friday night. They served breakfast for dinner and dinner for breakfast. And then she asks a question why. It's like, I guess it was funny. So there's like, the two sides of like, oh, the past was so great, but also I can't really explain it.
Well, obviously, I read his line delivery as different than that. I think I read it more as he was more like, because it was funny, and you don't get that nowadays. Like that kind of bitter, more than confused of like why they did it. It was more like in his mind, because it was funny was good enough. And we don't have that now because he lives in such a dark, depressing, miserable world where he can't have dinner with his family and just say, I solve mysteries without people being condescending to him.
No, for sure.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Every generation has their things of like, because it was funny and no other generation will get it. Like, I don't know that I can go up to like the students that I teach and tell them about Chuck Norris jokes or something like that. Maybe they'll think it's random, but it's every generation's thing.
Yeah.
And there is a frustration to like, oh, you had to be there.
Yeah, you had to be there when this thing happened. Yeah, no, it's really, really well done. And so what did we feel about the actual case? This is a detective story, and outside of like the obvious fun of the premise of this film from a character point of view, we actually do have a case where he's solving the homicide, the murder of a teenager. How did we feel about it? Bartek, what did you think?
I really liked, and I already kind of went into this a little bit earlier, how there was a trail to follow, and you can see where it went, off the mark, but a trail still existed to follow. Like, obviously, the boyfriend of the girl that's come to him for the case is like, oh, my boyfriend died, please investigate, like, who did it. And they follow up some very good leads at first, his friends. Like, there's the one whose dad is gay, and then there was Calvin. And Calvin gives them, like, genuinely the lead that he needs to follow. Like, there's a photo of this girl who's wearing nothing but a tiger mask. Like, he had an affair with her. That photo's in his locker. Go find that. They sneak into the school. They go to the locker. The photo's not there. Shit. This is the end of the trail. The girl says, like, oh, but I have his jacket. Maybe there's something there. And then what he finds in that leads him down the line of the drug ring and following along all of those. And
casually mentioned in there is like, oh, the nerds get used for drugs because the principal doesn't check them because they go through all the lockers. They have the keys to the lockers. They check the lockers, and that becomes a part of like, oh, when you get to the end, like, oh, right. We have been told from this side on what looks like a kind of rabbit hole the main character has just fallen down that he doesn't need to. Oh, we the audience, and so as he has been told like a critical piece of information that's key to the case. Yeah.
It doesn't directly follow along with it, but all of the information he learns like does add to the world of this film, and it's really good that they're not just random things he learned. There's a trail there.
And there's something about I feel it's always relevant, but it always feels a bit silly as a film podcast to just say, reminds me of David Lynch, blank. But something about this does evoke
Oh,
Blue Velvet.
Blue Velvet, yeah.
Where
you're
it's this
right.
idea of like, here's this cozy little town, and then there's this one weird thing that happens, and now we tug at it and we find this underbelly. And there's that here where what I really like as well, talking about perceptions and illusions and things like that, of these characters, like the principal, for instance, doesn't even know that at his school there's people who stay overnight during the weekends, and like everyone knows about this. Nor does Adam Brody. Adam Brody's character, Abe, has knowledge of what the school life and youth used to be when he was young.
Yeah.
And he's still going off of that, even though some of it's the same, just the names have changed. But once he starts to look at it, he understands it. And that goes with the principal, was like, oh, people just look at me as this one thing because no one ever thinks to kind of update their knowledge of me. So I can do whatever I want through that veil of just being seen as this one thing. And this, again, there's little subcultures of like, this gang from when I was young are supplying drugs to these kids that are in this gang that is in this subculture that's in the school that the principal is. Yeah, it's just like intricate, but not too much of a like tangled web to where I never got confused in the movie. I was never like, oh, where are we at? And that's what I mean by like the Blue Velvet thing was like, here's this cozy town and the simple premise of, but there's more underneath. And that's what this tugs at as well. And one of my favorite bits, though, was he's avoiding talking to the parents. He doesn't want to talk to the parents because then it's real. Then he's locked in and he has to think about the gravitas of it. And that scene with the parents is just so heartbreaking. But as a detective character, he always is talking about how the cops overlook these like little personal things about the victims and like these little interpersonal moments, and forget that people don't know everything about everyone. And that was what he connected with the mother over. It was like the mum, the dad kind of blows him off. He's like, how many murders have you worked? He's like 3. And he's like, okay, don't make me get in the way. Like, he's just like, you're an idiot. Like, he's not having it. He's emotional. But the mum is like really touched and kind of connects with Abe about how it's like, I like to have thought that I knew my son, but like I know that I didn't because his girlfriend that I didn't know existed phoned up. And then you're presenting this as like, I can't rule it out because we don't know everything about each other.
Yeah, don't make reckless promises like, I will give you peace in the end of this.
Yeah, don't say that. It's silly.
It's silly, yeah.
It's silly.
Yeah, and again, that scene, it's very tense, and you can see both sides of it. Like, the father is bringing up these points about, like, do you believe everything you hear? But you also have the context of his investigation up to that point. It was like, well, our main character's learned things about your son that you don't know. So you as a audience member are having to consider, like, both sides here. It's not just a straightforward, like, this is the reason you're an idiot scene for our main character.
And there's nice moments where, for instance, he finds the child sex worker and he's like, have the cops talk to you? And she's like, no. He's like, of course they haven't. He's like very arrogant in moments where he's struck upon something that's very key. But this being a character study, this being noir, this being a comedy, they know the exact moment to drag our main guy down and shake him by the shoulders. We have this whole extended scene of him breaking into Calvin's house and getting stuck in the closet and all of that, and we could talk about that. But
we
after
have to,
that,
because that's where my big laugh
oh
was.
yes, but after that, we have this cop. And it's like one of the most serious scenes in the movie where the cop basically lays down the law and he's sympathetic to Abe. Like, he's like, I don't hate you, but I understand you. I feel responsible.
We have history.
I feel responsible for you. Like, he was the guy that did not let Abe work from that kidnapping case, and it's like haunted him. But it's like, because you were a child.
You were 12.
You were 12. It's like, oh, and you didn't want to be looked as lesser than because a 12-year-old would help you solve the case. It's like, no, because you were a child. You were 12. Like,
yeah, we gave you cases that were like, like petty incidents.
Yeah, that were appropriate for you, that weren't traumatizing and stressful, but in the end...
There was one case where someone got arrested, but other than that...
Yeah, other than that. But that's like one of the theses of the movie is just like people trying to tell Abe, like, you were a child. We should not have put this on you. And that's kind of like what the principal was relying on at the end of the day. It's like, oh, you worked my brain to see how you could manipulate me. And then he's like, yeah, and it works so well that I actually kind of feel bad for you. Like, I kind of made you a shell of a man. Whoops. Sorry about that. But I was thinking about what was your big laugh. And so tell us a bit about the sequences.
So the reason why I was happy you brought up unappreciated masterpieces earlier is because we would occasionally have gags that just seemed like, only someone who was thinking about this in a very specific way would come up with this kind of gag. And it kind of reminded me of a recurring idea we used to have back in those days where it's like, oh, we've learnt like the secret rule of this world. Like, Baby's Day Out, this is a world where only the criminals look down. Black Annie, this is a world where this one character doesn't really know he's in a musical.
Yeah, Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Then Rocky and Bullwinkle's the big one for me, where it's, like everything is fax machines.
Yeah, it's faxes save the day. And I don't want to steal your thunder, but I'm imagining, I don't know if you are going to say this, but I'll Be Home for Christmas is a movie where we joked about how his friend died because they locked him inside of the locker.
And we never see him again.
And we never see him again, and we never get
So
to
in the language of the film,
he died.
Yeah. This is obviously not a big world one, but it's of this family.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Calvin character from earlier. He's broken into his house. There was a foreshadowing of that, like, leave the window slightly open in case you ever need to break in later. And he did that. And he needs to find, like, he's suspecting Calvin is the culprit, so he's like looking through his computer. He finds like a poem he wrote. It's like, I know the password.
Yeah,
it's
look through his
Caroline.
desk. Yeah.
Yep. And then this is the sequence where we get the payoff to the whole thing in the flashback about like hiding in the closet. Like, it was cute when you're a kid, but when you're an adult, there's bad consequences. And so the big gag of this sequence is that he just cannot leave this house because he keeps hiding in closets and people are just spending all this time in their room. He's in Calvin's room. Calvin goes on his computer and you're wondering like, oh, what's he going to spend all his time on? And he's playing like the most primitive version of Pong that you've ever seen in your life. It's like maybe a few years like more advanced than like Atari Pong.
But listening to really modern music.
Yeah, he's just playing Pong. His little sister's like, oh, you got to go set the tables. Like, tell her I'm doing homework. He's like, he's doing something really important to him. He's playing Pong. And then eventually, they go down for dinner and the little sister's
It's
like...
nighttime, yeah.
Yeah. Little sister's like, I need to go to the bathroom. And, that means she's going to run upstairs, so he has to hide somewhere else.
Yeah, because during this, Adam Brody finally got out of the closet. He's like, okay, now I can try and work my way downstairs. Oh no, the little girl's running after me.
The little girls now come up here. Now I'm stuck upstairs again. Oh, I'll hide in her closet. Like, she's gonna leave the bathroom and go back to dinner. But no, she comes into her room and it's like, oh no, now what's she gonna do? She gets on her laptop and it's like, okay, what little girl thinks she can do? And it's the exact same primitive Pong game that the older brother was playing. And the mother's gone like, hey, you didn't finish your dinner. It's like, oh, I'm not hungry anymore. And just this idea that they're both obsessed with this one primitive version of Pong. I literally had to like slam my hand onto the spacebar to pause the film and just laugh for like 30 seconds.
This is even better part. They make it a secret. Both of them don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
When the brother is playing it, he minimizes it so she doesn't, like, no one else sees it.
I didn't even notice that part.
And then she does this in secret. She's like, dinner's on. I'm going to play some secret Pong. No one will notice that I'm playing my Pong game. It's just so
I fucking
funny.
lost it so hard.
See, I thought you were just going to laugh at the fact that he got trapped in the closet for a whole day. I thought that was your big laugh. But the Pong
the
thing.
Pong thing.
Because I said to my wife Rachel, I was like, oh man, I like that they're playing Pong. It's just so silly.
Like, not even like a modern like 2020, but like just this primitive like 2-color Pong.
With the really annoying sound, yeah.
Yeah, just the really old
I loved this movie. This is a true modern masterpiece of dark comedy, deadpan deliveries. The genuine thrill of him solving the case is there, but they always they play the right amount of him succeeding and failing, of him being a genius and a fuck up, and he's aware of it. That's the thing too. Like, he is self-aware, but he doubles down out of pride and out of repression. There's a lot of repression going on with his character, and when we reveal, again, people, spoiler, that the principles behind this crime that just went down and the crime in his youth, It was a genuine surprise to me. Like, I
Yeah.
guess I was just so enamored with what the movie was doing. I didn't think about like, like how he does when he watches movies. Oh, this person's the killer. I was just so swept up in it all that I was like pleasantly surprised when we got there. Like when he was in the house, I'm like, oh right, oh it's got to be the principal. Like I was like, oh, I'm putting all the pieces together, and then he's hiding under the bed, and the principal being like, I know you're in the closet, and it's like I'm in the bed. I'm under the bed actually. But it was just such a great scene, and that duologue between the two of them, or mainly just the monologue from the principal, genuinely intense, genuinely dramatic, no real humor to be had there. It's brutal. Even the slight humor of he doesn't die straight away after stabbing himself, but then it's like there is humor there, but they're not playing it for comedy in a weird way. You know what I mean? Like they could have really leaned into he's not dead actually yet. It takes a little longer, but they just, again, this movie knows how to do deadpan so well that even that moment there that could have been like a much more slapsticky, over-the-top gag kind of isn't, but there is still a little bit of me having a little bit of a smirk or chuckle.
Like in a detective story, when you have that scene, it's usually like, all the players are there and it's like the dinner scene from that film that we did last year, the 30s, the black and white one, the alcoholic couple.
Oh, yeah. My brain's just farting on it, but yeah.
Yeah, but that one, like they had the whole dinner scene there, all the culprit,
The
suspects are there, and you have the whole like here's how everything worked out, like all the clues, all the thought process, and it's like you're the criminal. But in this, it's just
the Poirot, Agatha Christie type thing.
It's just two characters sitting at a table having a discussion, and him just the main character revealing how he worked out it was him, and blowing his mind about like the misconceptions that character has had that has like ideologically, mentally like beaten him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even the further reveal that the girl that was kidnapped is still alive, and
the Thin Man.
Yeah, Thin Man.
That was the name of that film.
The girl is still alive, and she's in like this shed, and you have the setup with the bottles, like the soda bottles, and like the murder victim was collecting bottle caps all the time, and things like
I didn't think of that.
Yeah, there's all these things. So they're like, we'll keep finding bottle caps in his locker, and it's like, oh. Right, because we determine in the movie that things being put in people's lockers, like the origami. That was a great bit. I called that. It was so funny. The girl is like, oh, I got these origamis. The only Asian boy in our school. And I said out loud, I'm like, he's not Japanese.
Yeah.
And then the movie's like, he's not. And she's like, oh, I'm a racist.
Yeah, I like that little self-aware moment. Like, I got to check my racism, I guess.
And then he's like, I won't worry about it. You're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine.
You're not a bad character. It's just a mistake you made.
Just a mistake you made. But no, it was, again, I think this film is kind of flawless. I really don't have any issues with it. I think for a first time, feature film debut as well.
Oh my God, yeah.
They had done some shorts. And that's it. I think the director-writer did some child acting himself in the past, if I'm not mistaken. But this is his feature film debut, and you can kind of tell in the way that sometimes when you watch the first film of someone, you are like, oh, they've been sitting on this, and they know exactly how they want to do it. That's how this feels to me.
It does, yeah.
That's how this feels to me. But it has enough of a budget where you don't really feel like, oh, this is a first-time filmmaker, but I'm keen. It's been 6 years now. They haven't done another film yet, but hopefully they do. I'd love to see some more work from this group.
Don't let this be lightning in a bottle.
And I just to say it, let Adam Brody be a lead. He's always great in these bit roles, but this is one where it's like, God, he's a good lead and a good comedic lead at that. I would love to see more work from him in this vein. Like, I don't need any more Abe. This is a good little character story. You did your piece on it, but more from this filmmaker, more of Adam Brody as a lead. I recommend this film wholeheartedly. This was a wonderful time. Everyone, check out The Kid Detective.
Yeah, I do not care to nitpick this film. I just had a really great time. This was a great film. I felt a little bit bummed after, we did another round, and I'm like, I wanted to love it, but, it's fine. There was like a sort of emptiness after that, but the fact that it's now made so that you pick this for the podcast is like, oh, great. I'm glad I picked it. I love Another Round now.
Yeah, I love
Everyone-
it even more.
I'll check out Another Round.
Yeah, Another Round starring Mads Mikkelsen.
Yes. Oh, and The Kid Detective too.
Yeah, check out The Kid Detective. So, the next movie we will be covering is a Listening People's recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
Someone recommended a film, we added it to the list, and now it's time to watch and then discuss. So, everyone, if you have a film that you want to recommend, feel free to hit us up on the social medias or our email address. All of that's in the description below, and we'll plug it in a moment again anyway.
Yep.
But, I've been looking at the list, and I'm like, wow, we have a pick from someone we haven't had a pick from before.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Someone you know.
Me?
Mm-hmm. You know.
Do you know them?
I've never met them,
Okay.
but you've met them.
Yeah.
Your dad recommended.
Papa?
Your father recommended a movie called Unthinkable,
Yes.
starring Samuel L. Jackson
Mm-hmm.
and other people. I had a brief look and I had a smile on my face when I saw some of the cast. So I've never seen this movie, never heard of this movie. I don't know what your dad's deal is with the movie. I don't know your dad. I don't know his
Yeah.
film tastes. I don't know anything really. I know he has several toilets. And he's like an IT guy. That's
Yeah.
all I know. I've never met Bartek's father. He lives in Poland.
He sat me down one day and we watched this film.
Oh, really?
He's like, I love this film. Watch this film with me.
And you cried. Well, I can't wait to talk a bit more about that next time on the pod. But Bartek, how about you tell everyone about those social medias and our email address and how they can contact us?
Sure, it's all written down there in description like Ryan said, but basically just to lay it out for you, the main places are we have a Twitter account on x.com, Spit and Polish Presents. We have a Facebook page also called Spit and Polish Presents. On both of those things, we upload, like little posts about like, oh, new episode's out, hey. We also have an email address, spitandpolished@gmail.com, and a YouTube channel where you may be listening to this episode right now. On any of those platforms, you can contact us, and if you have any recommendations for listening people's choices, send them our way. I reckon Facebook and YouTube is probably the easiest way to get in contact with us, but all of them are totally fine.
I'll allow it. It's totally fine. Something that I forgot to mention in the Kid Detective that was a nice setup and then payoff. The woman and her missing cat was nice. Like, it's a comedic setup, but then there's actual like gravitas and drama to the payoff of that. Just her being like, please find my cat. I'm very lonely. And then when you realize who she is and how much she matters to the main character's past, really hit. I was like, oh, great. And then the nice little comedic beat of just like, her cat's probably dead though.
Yeah. Found something probably more important to her, but that poor cat.
That poor cat.
Yeah, I really liked also that 'cause I mentioned Detective Conan earlier as like one of the big kid detective things that I know. Obviously I watch a fair bit of anime and I've seen a few things with this kind of premise.
I didn't even know Detective Conan was a kid.
There you go.
I didn't know.
Yeah, he's a 17-year-old that got de-aged into a 7-year-old, and so
Okay.
so it's kind of a reversal of this, where as a 17-year-old he's like, the ace detective. The police are all about him. It's like, oh, you solved another case. Good job, Shinichi.
Yeah.
But then when he gets de-aged, he's the kid in the past of this of like, well, we can't have you do things for us. You're just a kid, so he has to maneuver ways to solve the cases and like put the praise on like his friend's father who is a detective, and like, oh yeah, he solved it. Like I voice change. I did his voice, and
Nice.
It's a fun, very fun show. But yeah, as an adult, he's kind of more of like an odd jobs kind of character, kind of like in Gintama. So it's like, playing around with all these different kind of genres.
Nice.
Like the whole big gag of that is like, oh, the most stereotypical odd jobs things. Like you got to find the missing cat.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's a recurring thing in this where he's like found that cat like multiple times.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
A nice little recurring visual gag. I'm like, here's that cat again.
Like, oh yeah, your cat's gone missing again. Okay, I guess I'll find him. And that's why he doesn't really care that much.
I found your cat, Bartek. Hamlet.
Yeah, he was all over Rachel last week.
Rachel didn't give you the update.
Hmm?
We're having some pizza, leftover pizza. Rachel had some at work. She texted me. This is true. She said, I found a Hamlet hair in my pizza.
Oh,
Yeah, because he was all over Rachel.
did it taste good?
I have to ask my wife.
Oh. Are we still recording, or was this like
Yeah, this is all
outside
in.
of? Okay.
This is all in. Everyone, Bartek's cat is named Hamlet, and they are hairy.
And Ryan's wife is named Rachel.
I've mentioned that already.
She's not that hairy.
You're telling me?
Well, if you... No, I won't say that.
Don't want to say it, or else Rachel will beat you